Yeah, so good evening, everyone. I think I've seen a lot of us have joined. Seen Adia, okay, Aditayo, I've seen Kay, I've seen Olaure Isaac, I've seen Peter, Prosper, Tulu A. So we have to start now. I'm happy that our guest, all the way from Edinburgh, who is here, one of us actually, who has done put his hand on the plow, who have tried, right? And have done it. And the person of Ifeanyichukwu, I think Ezinmadu, right?
Ezinmadu.
That, yeah, so what's your middle name?
Well, my middle name is Steven, but I don't use that at all.
Yeah.
I only use that
So
probably
so
at the airport or something. I don't use it at all. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. So can we meet you, Mr. Ifeanyichukwu?
Yeah, pretty much. Hi everyone. I am Ifeanyichukwu Ezinmadu, and as I said, I studied here. I came into the UK at just shy of 5 years plus now, almost 6 years. September 2018. Came in as a MasterCard scholar. Did my program. Studied music actually. Which is not the traditional path for quite a number of Nigerians, you know. But that's what I wanted to do. So I came in, studied music, and in my final year, I was just thinking about, I mean, where does technology or how does technology play a role in what I've studied, you know? I've gone through the traditional routes, playing classical piano, conducting orchestras, and quite a number of things. But I felt like I was not really working with tech in what I was doing. So, and this was the same era when OpenAI began, and quite a number of things happened in my final year, which is just a year ago. It's not like a long time ago, actually. you know. So I remember going to the head of department, and I was like, "This is November. I know I've chosen my course. I've been attending lectures in September. I just want to change. I want to drop some courses and focus on a research, which is like, what's the role of technology in music education? You know." Well, going back and forth, they finally agreed about December, and I started this research, which went on till about April 2023. So just about 4 or 5 months of research, and I was like, okay, that's great. I've got an idea of what or how tech can play a role in what I've studied. However, just a research paper is not enough, you know. How can I convert this into a viable business? And long story short, I am currently working on Symphony, which is a startup as a result of that research. Yeah.
So when did that idea of turning to a business? When did it start? At which point?
I think it has always been there. I mean, as a core Lagos boy, the business side of things has always been in my mind, you know. Uh, so even as I was doing the research, I knew like I did not want it to end on the paper, you know. I think the main starting point was when I was like, you know, I need to go out there and leverage the network within Edinburgh, leverage the network within the university. So I attended the startup weekend the same November 2022 and started working with the Edinburgh Innovation Hub, that's the University Innovation Hub, and just attending as much sessions as possible. So I was pretty much just eager to see what is possible with this idea. And, you know, and that really did help me prepare. I mean, leading to the Innovators Founder Visa, I worked closely with the university in shaping that.
Yeah, I like what you have raised. Yeah, you've raised the support system, right? So you had the idea of this music, how tech will play a role, all of that. So you attended the Edinburgh Innovation. I think I've heard about it before. I think the startup weekend you're talking about is Techstars, right?
Now
Techstars
it's
startup.
Techstar. Yeah, it switched to Techstar just a year ago or so. When I did it, it was just the Edinburgh Innovation one, but it's the same. Yeah.
So that's because so that 3 days event, which I understand how it works. That okay, so there is there. So I will ask the last question before I run away now. So that Techstars startup weekend, let's say that startup weekend, right? What did it did to you? What were you able to achieve? Because I want our audience to to see how attending events can help, can how they can leverage on attending events to the idea.
Yeah, I think it made me have greater insight into what running a startup can be. And even the process of ideation, it's this thing in my head and probably with my supervisor talking about it. But right on the first day, we had to pitch our ideas, and 6 ideas were going to be selected, and everyone is going to be paired up in teams. And my idea was one of the 6. So I had a team of 5 to work with me on this idea over the 3 days, and watching other people dissect my idea. The name changed, a lot of things changed, the business model changed. I was just like, okay, you know what? I've not thought about things this way. And that's really helped me. I mean, how will I put it? It helped me shape what Symphony is. The name Symphony was actually coined at that weekend, at the startup weekend, I think on the second day. And we went out to do market research on the second day. And I remember being like, oh, maybe we'll do this app like £5, £7 subscription. And people were like, no, actually, I would pay £10 for it. I'll pay £15 for it. So we found that sweet spot in terms of pricing. Everything happened within that weekend, within 3 days. So had I not showed up for that, I'll probably be at BlackRock now doing my 9 to 5, and that would have been my life. But I'm glad I did attend that session and many more after that.
Yeah. So before I run away, I think both of us need to talk about that startup weekend. Maybe there's something we can adopt ourselves so that at least we can run it ourselves, because I think the startup weekend you're talking about is the same thing as ideation, or what we can call part of a design thinking, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So our real guest, our real owner of the event is Mr. Ludari. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Ifeanyi. Thanks. I've been
I
listening even before. Yeah. So just, going straight forward, why did you start this company? Did you see like a problem, or is just your passion that drove you, into developing this idea?
I think it's a mix of both. I don't want us to look at it from a perspective of me studying music in the UK. Let's go back in time to me studying classical piano in Lagos, Nigeria, and not just anywhere in Lagos, in Ayobo, Ipaja Ayobo. If you're familiar with the Lagos axis, you kind of can picture what that looks like. And I think what I found in my own journey was like, I wanted to learn something out of my immediate environment, right? And that means I have to take some steps going to the Muson School of Music, which is a long way, and also picking up books myself to read about classical music and practice this. But it was just boring, to be honest. If there was not that intrinsic motivation, I possibly would have just given up. Well, long story short, moving forward, and I've studied music here. I've been so integrated into the ecosystem of music education in the UK, working at the highest level of it. And I'm like, it's the same story for so many other people. It's not a thing of a boy in Ayobo. It's not a Nigeria thing. It's a global challenge. Even in the UK alone, we have over 50% cut in funding for music education. Yet the government is like, we want to support arts. How do we do that if we're cutting funding for arts? So I was like, the only way we can amplify this, we can bridge that gap in access to music education while still making it interesting and engaging is through technology. Almost everyone is with a phone. Almost every child you see has a tab. I was like, okay, we've already got the tool. You don't need to buy any other thing. You just need to go into the app store and download this amazing app that then takes you to the next level. So that was everything for me. I was just like, my story coupled with my experience here. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty much what I would like to explore.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's quite interesting, because this has to do with something that you have been doing for such a long time, but you never knew it was going to transform into this big thing that you are doing right now. So I want to ask, as someone who just looking for something to do in the meantime or even in the future, and but I'm afraid of failing, right? So I'm afraid of failure. I don't want to meet people. I don't want to try new things. So, in terms of that, were you afraid of failing, or, if failure was not your biggest fear or biggest challenge, what were those fears that you had or challenges? Yeah, even in just starting.
Well, we are humans, right? That means we naturally somehow feel that's, well, it can be a form of imposter syndrome. It can be that a form of the fear of failure. So I have had a fair share of that, actually, to a great extent. I feel like all my life I've practiced so much to be this world-class classical pianist. I've been offered full ride scholarship to come here to expand on what I've done in Nigeria. And all of a sudden, I was like, okay, taking internships in private equity firm, in asset management firm. People were like, what are you doing? Like, are you serious about your life? You've got a full funding to do this. That's played a huge role. Like, that take a toll on me. I was like, what am I doing? That midlife crisis that some people call it, And this happened even in my second to third year. That identity, I was like, who am I? But that in a way shaped me. So I put myself in this uncomfortable situation. I remember showing up into the first internship in London in a private equity firm, sitting down with business students from London Business School and so many other top schools around. I'm this music guy coming into a business space. But I was just like, I'm here to learn. It's an internship, right? You're not expected to know everything. I just throw myself in there and do it. It sounds as easy as it sounds because I'm saying it now, but I think it's taking that step, knowing that it's all a learning experience. I think that's how I see life in all. So I'm not saying there is a perfect truth to it or there is a perfect formula to overcoming fear of failure. I think that thing would always be there, or sometimes be there even more than others. But I think it's you just putting yourself out there, and if you want to de-risk it as much as possible, attend seminars, just show up for workshop where you are not even talking, you just lay back, listen, just show up for stuff. I think that also helps you validate what you're already thinking in your head,
Yeah, thanks. And a 1,000 miles journey starts with one step, and if you don't just go out, you might never know. So
Yeah.
even if you have $1 million idea, if you don't step out. So I think that's really encouraging, encouraging for all of us. Don't shut down yourself. Just try to speak out. Try to just go there and speak about your idea, and you never know. I'm not sure. Did you like, when you were starting, did you think this was going to blow up, in quotes, quote and unquote?
Well, I kind of knew, to be honest. And that's because of the faith or the confidence I had in myself. I mean, I gave myself that adrenaline boost, like, yeah, let's do this, But also on the other side is like, you need to raise money. You need money to get people to build a product. So as much as I was confident, like, oh, we've got a wonderful idea here. We've got a way to solve this huge problem. We've discovered something, a right product for this market. The other side to it is like, how do we get the money to build that? How do I build a team? There are so many other things that came in place. So going back to the drawing board, and as I said again, showing up for stuff. And I mean, just how will I put it? Taking a step back with your idea and putting yourself out there well enough that a lot of people, I mean, what I found in Scotland is there are a lot of people, there are a lot of organizations there to support you at every stage. So when it became a thing of funding, there were people I turned on to and they showed up just because I opened up my mouth to say, okay, there is a problem. Yeah, I have this challenge. When it came to stuff, I mean, so many aspects of the business, people have turned up for me. I don't have brother, sister, family, that I don't have anybody in the UK. It's just me. But people have showed up. So I think it's just if you don't vocalize that process, then nobody just understands or nobody gets what you're going through, you know.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. So diving into the funding issue, because it's a big one, even if you have the brightest idea, but no one is listening to you, and you check your account, no pounds therein, and you might want to feel discouraged. So please, open it up to us more. What are the funding opportunities there? And if you are also if this is also fine with you, share with us your own experience with how you got the funding, and especially within the Scotland ecosystem. So what are the fundings that are available for someone that is just starting? You don't, it's just a pure idea. No, maybe if you even have the market already, but the product is not there. It's not something that can be built with £5,000, but the idea is just there. But how do you get the funding even for
Well,
starting?
yeah, I can't go into details of funding for Symphony just yet because most of it is not like public information yet. But I can say for a fact, most universities, to the best of my knowledge, have various form of grants, and that's to those in university studying at the moment. So definitely go out to your innovation hub. I don't know what it's called. I know in Edinburgh Uni is Edinburgh Innovation. Well, it might be called a different name at your university, but there will be a business unit there helping students with entrepreneurship, So that's where I began, like the little 1,000, the little 1,500. And I would actually give a fun fact. For 4 years back to back, from my first year to my final year, I've been pitching different ideas, not even close to what I'm doing right now. And I never got one single funding. Not a single one. I think the first one is just right after my final year. And that was where everything began. And the right idea, I've developed the skills. So university funding would be like the great one to begin with. There is also the Scottish Enterprise Smart Grant. If you want to check that, I think it's Scotland wide anyway. The Scottish Enterprise Smart, I think it's up to £100,000 you can get from that. If they do believe like your idea is innovative, of course you have to show quite a number of things, but you can research that. I've also worked closely with Interface, which is a knowledge sharing organization. I think that's what they call themselves.
Yeah.
But the way it works pretty much is they link you with a university or somebody working in the space, researching in the space you want to build a product in, and they don't give you this money directly. It's an innovation voucher that they pay this person through the university to work on your idea for you. So your first prototype might be through a voucher like that, whereby it's de-risk everything. You lose nothing. Somebody, an expert in this field, would take the risk, build something out for you. I think that's the starting point. That's where to get the little money, maybe 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 in there. I mean, there are also other competitions like the Scottish Edge. There is I think just quite a number of them are across the ecosystem. But I think the next level beyond that now is looking into angel investment and VCs, depending on where your idea is. And for angel investors, I think what I did was primarily going on PitchBook or whichever platform you use to check your competitors who have invested in this idea or something similar in that space. It might not be directly like music education, but I just went as far as the EdTech. They're angel investors who are actively investing in the EdTech space. Then reach out to them, and you never know. And that have played a huge role in financing Symphony till date. Pretty much. Then also your network. You never know, the next person next to you might be an active investor, but people don't talk about money that much. So you just never know if you don't speak to people. So one of our major investors is actually somebody I've known for quite a while, but I just opened up like, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is where we've gotten with this idea, and boom, the money showed up just right there. So just explore as much as and be honest with yourself. If you've done your research, then be confident enough to speak with people. Like, I'm actually fundraising now for this idea, you know.
Yeah, this is lovely. I also know about interface. I think I would recommend that to anyone listening, and for every other one that has been mentioned. So if you are a student, try to connect with your university, or even if you are a recent graduate, I'm sure your university or institution will be happy to welcome you back and share this your idea with them. And if even if you are dependent, some of these other opportunities that have been mentioned, you don't have to be a student. But one thing that caught my attention while you were speaking is that this startup that you have was not your first idea. You have been pitching different ideas over the years, and indeed it didn't work out. But I think that is part of resilience. You built that resilience, and you might not know, but over those pitches and experience, you've actually built some skills that
Absolutely.
probably you're not aware of that. So can you encourage the audience that this is also possible?
Well, I don't know how to encourage someone. I can only say the same thing I said before, which is like, put yourself out there. And if you're really scared of it, as I said, you don't have to go to a pitching competition. Go watch people pitch. Go watch people talk about the idea. I mean, I was in Glasgow for 3 days, I think, a few months ago, just to go watch the Edge final. I just registered for the 3 days. I was like, why not? Just because I was supposed to do the application, but even with how Symphony was going at that point, I was like, we're not ready. We're not the perfect guys for this competition and stuff like that. But I went there and the whole idea changed. I was like, wait a minute, we've got what it takes to be here, and that was just the motivating factor. So I wouldn't say there's a perfect formula to motivate you. Different people at different stages of life, which also bring about the risk appetite. I can afford to take that huge risk and work on this full time. You might not be in that. You might not have that capacity, maybe because of family and so many other things to look at. So find something that does work for you. But I can say, going back to what I said about funding, Innovate UK is also a great one. I know you asked about the Scottish ecosystem, but Innovate UK got so many fundings that helps you with feasibility studies, to test your idea, build a prototype and stuff like that. So if you just actively check on such platform, you never know, like 15,000, 20,000 to help you start building something, and you don't have to leave your current job. Why not,
Yeah, that's great and fantastic. So you are also a recipient of the Innovate Officer. So can you, put us through that? What are the pros of it? What are probably the cons of it? And what will you say about it? And maybe also share your experience about that.
Well, I would recommend the Innovators Founder Visa 100% to anyone who is interested, and you don't have to have a perfect idea to apply. I think that's what I find speaking with a lot of people. They're like, oh, my idea is not fully formed, this and this. Just sit down, do your research on the market, how viable, how scalable, and how innovative the idea might be. That's all you need to do. That's all. Honestly, those three criteria, those are the main things you need to think about for the endorsement. So I think I can't say advantage and disadvantages, but what I can say is, with that visa, you can pretty much do anything you want to do in the UK. You've got I was on what's this visa called again? The skilled workers visa.
The tier 2, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I got that with a role at BlackRock, and there was limitations to it. Like, I just can't raise as much money as I need for my startup, and there are so many things in there. There is the graduate visa, which also does not count into your indefinite leave to remain, and so many other things. I'm not an immigration lawyer to break this down, but I just explored my options and I was like, this seemed to be the perfect fit, whereby I can work, I can do other things while still building my business. And it's just for 3 years and you can convert into your indefinite leave to remain. why not? You know, so back to what I said again, you're looking out for scalability, innovative idea, and viability. So those are the three main criteria. So you've got the endorsement phase, and I use investors. There are quite a number of endorsement bodies out there. So if I'm to break it down, you've got a fee to pay for the endorsement process. I think it's just a bit over £1,000. And after that, if you get through that process, different organizations have their different processes. Some you might require interview, some you need to submit a business plan, some just have a set of questions you need to answer. And if you're able to answer that correctly to a great extent and show them why your idea is innovative, no reason, like they will definitely give it to you. The endorsement, then you get to the home office stage whereby you've applied for your visa. For myself, the home office came back with 5 questions for me. I was just going to read them out. I got them here.
Yeah, that would be nice. And maybe while you are checking that or preparing for that, I would give a chance for the first batch of questions. So please, if you've got questions, you can write them in the chat box or just please raise your hand virtually, and then because we want to make this as interactive as possible. So if you have any question on what our guests have spoken about, or about the innovator office, or even about the startup, so please feel free to ask your questions, and I'm sure you'll be happy to attend to those questions. So thank you.
Yeah. So the first question the Home Office asked me was like, please explain how you plan to maintain yourself whilst developing and establishing Sync for me. So that is as simple as it sounds. It's also complex because they want to see like you've got a balance of time in there. You can't just be like, I'll be working on this idea in my current business full time and doing this in the evening and weekends. That wouldn't cut it for the Innovators Founder Visa. But you can still come up with something like, oh, I'll probably take less engagement in my current role so I can build this business. But just to show that balance of you've got money to keep you going. So that I think some people think you need to have a stack of money like 50,000 somewhere. No, you don't actually. They just want to see like you're surviving and you can keep your business. And don't forget, they're hoping that your business become viable over 3 years. It's not something they expect you. They give you the visa today, and tomorrow you've got an office, and next tomorrow everything, your market is out there. No, you've got 3 years to try things out and explore as much as you want to. I think the second one was about funding. So it's like clarifying how much do you need to build your idea. And if you were to raise, what's the plan on getting that money? So, and as I said, you don't have to show the money in your bank account. As at the time I applied, there was no bank account.
I think that's really good to clarify, because I know this is one of the things that might scare people, that maybe you need to have 50,000 or 100,000. I had to cut in so that you clarify it to people and let people know, even if you have £1,000 in your account, you can apply for this, so that at least we bring it home. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I think, as I said, I'm not an immigration lawyer, so don't take this as an immigration advice. However, I think some people end up reading blogs that were about the former founders visa. I can't remember what the former one was, entrepreneur visa or something. And that's when you needed to have, I think, 50,000 or so. So there's quite a number of blogs out there and people are getting it confused. The Innovator Founder Visa came out last year. So it's a fresh thing and you'll find less materials written on it. I think a few YouTube videos now. So don't mix it up. There is nobody that asked me anywhere in the process to show £50,000, So just show like you've got a plan to get that money, which brings about, it might have been you've applied for some grants. It might be you've met someone who might be interested in investing at a later stage, give you awarded the visa, and they can write a recommendation letter to support your application. And that's all I had. I had an angel investor and I was like, can you write me a letter for this visa application. And if I get the visa, then you're able to invest, because if I don't get a visa, you can't invest anyway. And they were happy to do that. And Home Office was also happy with such letter. And yeah. So the third question, okay, I'll skip that one. It's particular about Symphony, about the technology. But I think the main thing there is you really need to know every single bit of what you've written in the application. So they read it like in details, you know. So I was talking about a lot of, quite a number of technical stuff, but I'm a music graduate. And some of those things were written by me and some technical people together. So I think the questions was more like, do I really understand what I'm about to build? You know, and me being able to show like I actually have thought this through. I know every bit of that, of what I'm talking about in terms of the tech structure was very important. So for you, it might not be a tech product, whatever it might be, just ensure that you've done your research and you really know where the innovation lies. And I think the second to the last is, please clarify what market research has been done into the business and where the idea for the business came from. And this just to, I think, one is to show that you know the market. Two, that with the second one, where the idea came from, is to show like you've got the IP right towards this innovation. So it's not just somebody else's idea you're trying to work on or so, just to see. I think it's just a trick question, I'll say. And the last one I was asked was to provide a roadmap for the business, setting out goals you aim to achieve and by when. And I just went by, okay, in Q4, we'll do this one, in Q1, you know, and it's a bit vague, and they are open for things to change. I think the old goal is just for you to show that you've got a sense of understanding of what you are about to go into. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. We have about 7 questions here, but just from one person. So I'm trying to condense most of them because I think you've talked about a few of those questions. So, but while I'm trying to condense those questions, so I was going to ask you that at what stage do you think an idea should be before one go for this innovators visa? Like at what stage? You know, you've mentioned that market research should have been done and probably get like an investor or some funding to show that your idea is viable. So, but you know, at what stage do you think one can then approach this confidently?
I will say definitely not at ideation stage, not when you're still thinking maybe this or maybe that. You know, so you have to have a clear sense. That means you've probably gone through a startup program or something. Like I just showed I've done the Barclays Venture Builder program. I think that's what it's called. And it's a free program. I think it's some are even done in the evening or so. So it can fit into your work time and stuff like that. And the sessions are recorded. So just register. It's absolutely free by Barclays Eagles Lab. And I did the funding readiness program. Then I did the Edinburgh Innovation Summer Accelerator. And these are things I just tagged up to show like this idea have been thought through on different stages and with different sets of people to like walk through the idea. That I think that also builds up, okay, anybody can do a market research, but have you actually walked through your own idea and where the innovation lies? So just showing like you've attended these programs, which I mean, everybody knows Barclays Eagles Lab, you know what I mean? So Home Office is familiar with this anyway. So that makes sense. Like, okay, you know what you're talking about. For you to have been accepted on the program, it shows like, okay, you've got an idea and there is a support system around it. I think that's where it needs to be. So I wouldn't say you don't even need funding yet. Like, I wouldn't say you have to get money somewhere, you know, like, I think people get bogged up in that. And I will share a story of a friend whose current visa actually expired while she was applying for the Innovators Founder visa. And the Innovators Founder visa came back negative the endorsement was not approved. However, she had a chance, the second chance, which is like, oh, you can appeal the decision. If they're saying they can't endorse you, there will be reasons why, and you can appeal that. And I was like, let's sit down together and walk through this. And what I found out is she had so many amazing ideas, but there was nothing to support it, no reference. It was just vague. I mean, it's wonderful to read like a narration, but these people don't know you. They can't be that nice as a friend to you, So I was like, where did you get this data? I mean, to be honest, there was no even data in it. But I was like, can you put a data here? And if you are saying this, can you reference it? Just like an academic paper or something, just being able to show so they also can go and look at what you're saying, like, oh, actually, there is a market here. Get it? Like, these people don't know everything. I don't know so many things like about deep tech or so many other sectors. So they might also not know so much about your sector. So if you can help them understand what you're trying to do, that plays a huge role. So just being able to show with numbers and data and references, so like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is what the market is saying about this. This is the future projection. And most of these things are things you don't have to design yourself. Just go online, sit down and do your research. And if you put it all together, a quality application will definitely stand out. And she submitted the appeal, and she got the endorsement.
That's
so
good.
it's to me it's simple. Like I don't see it as this super complex thing. And this person I'm talking about actually don't have any investments, not a single naira. I mean, not a single pound or something. However, what she's just been able to show was like, okay, she started building something. People are already asking for the products. That is another thing. Can you build a waiting list for your product if it's a consumer product or something? I remember setting up the website myself, creating a page for a waiting list, and I was like, guys, just join the waiting list, And by the time I was submitting the application, I had about 70 people. Even if 40 or so are my friends and family, it's fine. Like, why not? Like, it just shows like, okay, there are people interested in this idea. That's all they care about. So if you can just show that with numbers and reference it, I believe your application should go through.
Yeah, thanks so much for answering that. So we are going to come back to your idea so that maybe, not exposing the critical aspect of your idea.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask just one question about that. So, but someone want to know how long it took you when you applied for the visa and when you got it, and maybe you also answered it. If you could also please answer it with this second one alongside that. How long did it take you when you decided to work on the idea and then the end where you are now? I think you have mentioned that it took you about 4 years. So yeah.
This particular idea started November 2022.
Oh, okay.
But the business side of it, started about that November also, but I think I took it seriously just before graduation. So let's say about June 2023. And that was when I started I think that about that time, June or July thereabout, I started the application for the Innovators Founder Visa. Please, guys, I say this again and again, leave enough time for your application. The website was like, it's going to take 10 weeks. No, I think 4 to 6 weeks. That's what it's most of the endorsing body websites. But mine actually took, I think, 10 to 11 weeks thereabout. I was in Lagos at this point, stranded. I was able to get back into the UK with my other visa, but a lot could have gone wrong. I was in each role and I was really scared. Like, are they going to bounce me back? Because just a lot, So I'm like, give enough time and don't also be like my friend whose visa expired before we had to look for a way to get it back, So give enough time. And I see like you don't have to, how will I put it? You don't have to be like super, super close to the end of your current visa to switch. So they don't really care where you are at that point in time. Nobody asks me which visa are you on at this point in time. You could be applying from anywhere. All they want to look at is your application for that endorsement phase. So begin the endorsement process even probably as you are wrapping up your studies, because it's going to take a while. And if you're applying towards the summer also, remember, these guys take holiday. So I think that was what happened to me, you know. So I was just like, I was frustrated every single day. And I had to go back to Nigeria for a talk. And my new visa arrived just 2 days before my flight. So you don't want to be like me. If you can fix that, give yourself enough time. Yeah. I think the other question was about when did I begin the... Oh, I already answered that.
Yeah, you already answered that. So the other question I think we can take here is asking about the level of your studies when you had the idea, and I think you answered that. But for the sake of the of the participants, you can just answer that again. Thanks.
Undergrad, I came in for my undergrad, but it's important to note, I was doing quite a lot before my undergrad. So I had 5 years gap between my high school to undergrad, you know. And so I went to a specialist school, became a lecturer, a junior lecturer in music. And so a lot happened in between there. So it's just being able to tie those skills together. But why I mentioned that is, during my undergrad, I was already taking roles that a graduate will take. You know, I was already occupying positions. Immediately I came in, I was applying for stuff. So I was really, really integrated into the music scene, at least in Edinburgh and Glasgow, to a reasonable extent, and not just playing in the bar or something. I mean, in a professional setting, you know, I think, and that's what really, I think, that stood my application out to a great extent. My endorsement, the endorsement body actually wrote to me later on, like, the application is really, really, really strong, you know. So, and they don't get that high number often. And my point of contact was like, there was no objection to my application. Not a single person on the committee objected to anything there. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, and she really attested to like the quality of the robustness of my experience. So what you're doing right now might also play a huge role in your application. Don't just focus on the money. Put everything, like, package yourself so well. All your experience do matter. And if it's directly tied to your idea, super. If it's not tied to, there might be some transferable skills that you can show in your application. Like, this is actually valuable to what I'm going to do thereafter.
Yeah, thanks. I think we'll get back to that in just a few minutes. So I don't know, please, if you have questions, please drop it in the chat box, or please just raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hand. We are getting close to the end of the meeting very soon. Okay, Tolu raised their hand, so I will take your question quickly. Yeah, please go for it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
All right, good evening, and thank you, everybody, the coordinators. Thank you, Mr. Ifeanyi, for this wonderful talk. I have 2 quick questions, and the first one is, I don't really understand, like, the step-by-step ways of, if there is ways of applying for this innovation visa. I have not really grabbed that. And then the second one, if at the point of maybe application, one needs your help or your assistance for to confirm what something that I'm trying to write up, is there any way I can reach out and contact you for further assistance on that? Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Excuse me, please. Yeah, I would suggest maybe we take all the questions in the interest of time. So I see.
Oh, Peter. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'll just take note of what the questions. Yeah, that's fine.
So go for it, Peter. Thanks.
Hello, Mr. Ifeanyi. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this program. My own is just a very quick, simple question. The endorsement bodies, I think there are about 4 of them.
Yeah.
How do you get to choose the one you went with? If you don't mind, you can even tell us the body. How can we make that decision? What are the things we should look out for before choosing an investment body? Is there a fee? Is it the same fee that you pay? Or anything that you know?
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, yes, thank you. I know, some of these questions could be related, so it will be easy to answer them. So is there any other question, or anyone, please, you want to drop your, ask in the chat box. So I've got 2 more questions for you in addition to those ones. So maybe which option do you prefer? My questions first, or those questions?
Let me answer these ones while they are fresh in my head.
Okay,
Yeah, so step by step for application, it's pretty much, and then going to the endorsement body, choosing the endorsement body. And I think it's on the UK government website. When you go to the Innovators Founder Visa, sometimes called the Innovation Visa or something. I don't know, sometimes the wordings might not be right, but it's the Innovator Founder Visa. You would see the endorsing bodies. The main reason why I chose Investor International and start with E for the investor, I'll just type that in the chat right now. I'm not saying you should go there to them. I'll tell you why I chose them. So I'm not promoting them, or it's not a paid advert or something. But the main reason why I chose it was most of the other ones were asking like, oh, you should have a business plan. I was dealing with quite a lot at this point, and I did not have time to start designing a whole document of a business plan. But I had pieces of symphony from different programs I've done, like market research here, different things, So Investor, what they've done is they've got set questions on their portal after paying for the endorsement process. So you just answer each of those questions, and each question give you like little hints on what they're expecting from you. So I just felt like that's helpful for me to know exactly what they're looking for than going to create this almighty business plan and coming back and they're like, oh, it's not innovative or something like that. So that's why I went for investors. I'm putting it in the chat now. So that's the one I use. I think that answers the first question and the last question. But continuing after the endorsement board process, it's now then applying to the UK government for the visa. But you can't submit that visa application without the endorsement letter. So if you get the endorsement, then you apply for the visa and answer a few questions by the Home Office, and pretty much that. So it's 3 stages. I think the main thing you want to focus on is the endorsement process. That's the difficult bit. Like, it is really, really time consuming, and you want to answer everything well. So just give yourself enough time. Like, I would say 2-3 months to like go through that process, Yeah. And contact details, I'm happy for you to contact me. And I try to respond to almost every single message. It might not be as quick as you might expect, but I try to respond to all messages. And that will be via LinkedIn. I'm just going to drop it here. So please do reach out to me. I'm happy to to help you out at any point. But I believe also the endorsing bodies would have quite a number of guidelines for you on what they expect anyway. So you might not need me. And I say so because when I was applying, I had not a single person I could ask a question. The university, I went to the innovation hub and they're like, okay, it's nice you're applying for this, but it seems like you're the first person going for this visa. And I was like, okay, that's not helpful. So I did it all on my own and it came out successful. It's not to attest to how smart I am or no, it's just to show the level of support on the website and just reading and following every step, But again, I'll be happy to step in if you want, yeah. And I think that answers all the questions. Yeah.
Yes, you've answered all the questions. So Yes, but one I was going to ask about the technology, but this is someone asking about it again. So it's one of my last two questions that this your technology, how it works, how is it innovative? What's the innovation about it, and how does technology comes in? So if you could please answer that in maybe just 2 minutes, because I know you are not pitching here. We are not. Well, anyway, we are possible investors, but yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So just
Absolutely.
just to give us the other, because sometimes I know people are here who have ideas, but might be thinking, what is innovative about this, my idea? But maybe from your experience, they could at least get an idea. Yeah.
Well, I can't go into the details of the sweet spot of the technology, but I can say what I found in similar technologies out there for music education is what you have on the market just tells you, or what you've played. Let's say you are learning to play the piano. The app was probably going to tell you, oh, what you've played is right, or what you've played is wrong. It just tells you this is right or this is wrong when you hit a key. And I'm like, that's not education. You don't sit next to a teacher, they just tell you that's right, that's wrong. You don't learn that way. So where we sit is offering a more personalized learning and tailored feedback through AI algorithms specially designed for music education. So I think that was the sweet spot for us, like taking that innovation to the next level. And this is a niche sector for audio signal processing for music education. So it's quite a niche, and you never know how deep tech your company is till you go out there and speak with technical people. I'm now talking about audio signal processing, image processing, optical music recognition, and quite a number of things. I knew nothing about all these terms 6 months or 8 months ago. Like if you say, I'm just like, what are you talking about? I don't know. But all I knew is I had this idea of how something might work in my head. I did some sketch, and I invited my cool tech guys, friends around, like, come around to my flat. Let's talk through this idea. You've studied computer science, problem masters, PhD level. Let's discuss this. You know what I mean? Of course, people you trust enough to to
With the
leverage
idea.
such
Yeah.
network, but you'll be amazed. And in bit by bit, it's got to a point whereby I'm seated and I'm interviewing AI engineers and speaking comfortably to a point of knowing the right person to choose amidst a pool of probably 50, 60 applicants, and then we had to interview an audio signal processing engineer again. And I tell you again, 6 months ago, I did not know anything about this field, but to bring my idea to life, it wouldn't be possible without these people playing a huge part of that. It was no longer a thing of music education. It was more of a thing of technology driving music education. So please go out there, speak with people, be in spaces whereby people can help and support you. And I think that's where Creed also come in, and so many other bodies like that across Scotland. You'll be amazed. There are so many opportunities to take your idea to the next level.
Yeah, thanks. Two questions here, but into one that, what are the opportunities in EdTech, talking about EdTech now, that our attendees can leverage on, and what's the real life after this innovator visa? So are there any team members now? The hassles is not, we all know it's not easy, so, but, just share this with us. So what are the opportunities and the life after this?
It's easy to say the opportunity is massive. I'm not saying for my company, I'm speaking EdTech at large.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's massive, and I say so because since COVID did drive a lot of universities thinking about education differently, even at the highest level, and down to the little things like apps. Why do you get on your phone and you get stuck there for so long and don't leave it behind? Why do you find like most schools across Scotland, to the best of my knowledge, have a tablet for each student, or have a gadget or a platform online for each student? So it's like, okay, we are going from having just textbooks now to creating interactive ways for children, for adults, and I'm focusing on the children's side of things. Yours might be for professionals. It might be the next future Coursera, or I don't know, anything it might be. So EdTech can be in whichever form, but we're talking of multi-billion industry in here globally. And don't just look at EdTech in the UK. If you want to be inspired, look at EdTech industry in the States. It is a massive industry. It is a massive industry. I think the global music education market at the moment is about 93 billion worth, valued at about 93.9 billion. And just the US market alone for EdTech, for music, is worth about 11 billion right now. So that's to tell you 93 to 11, there's still a huge gap in terms of what can be done in that sector. So look at your sector, whatever it might be, and I'll give a quick story of a friend who is like working in the healthcare sector, and it's like, oh, there is not so much for like maybe African carers, African looking after African carers, and I'm like, why not design something in there? Why not, if you have experience in this sector, why not probably build an app? Maybe the business model might be something you can replicate. I don't know anything about this sector, but the first thing that came to my mind was technology. Do you know what I mean? So whichever sector you're thinking about, it might be the EdTech, it might not be the EdTech. Technology is the future. I'll keep preaching that. Please, if you don't know anything about it, it's fine. Ask people who know about it and how it can amplify what you've got in mind. And do your market research. The future is still very, 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 very bright for technology. And we're lucky at this point in time, beyond the visa, we are in like the .com era of AI. You know what I mean? The early time of Microsoft and so many things. This is the .com era for AI. So how can you amplify your idea? Because if you don't just do that, I'm not saying you'll be left behind, but why not catch up with that? Why not catch up with the future? It's not just about what we are seeing right now. It's about 5-10 years from now. What can it be in your industry?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure you should be in any sector today and not thinking about AI in it. I don't think that is practically possible. And please don't think about UK alone or developed country. The gap between development of technology and adaptation now is very short. So this thing is going to spread as fire to developing countries. So people in Africa know about ChatGPT right now. So unlike before that, maybe it will have taken like maybe 20 years to get to those kind of places. So it's there right now. It's taking very short time. So yeah.
That I just remember something very, very important. Please, in your application, I know it might be cheaper to build your product in Nigeria. Don't leverage that in your application. That was one main thing that bounced my friend's application back for the endorsement. It was focused on the product was going to be built in Ghana, then sold in the UK. And they were like, no, how is it beneficial to the UK then if everything's going to be, I mean, from a business model point of view, it does make perfect sense. If you can build something of, let's say, 20 pounds in the UK, build it for £1 in Ghana, why not? Like, then pay maybe £1 to export it, and you have 18 pounds more to yourself. It just makes perfect sense. But for the purpose of the application and also thinking of the global network at large, I would say please don't go through that route. You can mention it like, oh, we might, as part of the scalable option pathway, in 2-3 years down the line, we want to open a branch of something like this in Nigeria, in wherever it might be, or one arm of the business. But let it be a part, not like it's integrated into the full business model. Please don't do that, because we just have to revamp that for the new, appeal towards our endorsement.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. You have to think about what the country is going to benefit as well, what UK people are going to benefit. How is it going to strengthen the business in UK? So I mean that is very true. yeah, you don't have to think twice about that. Just find a way that UK is going to benefit from it. Let that be, and even now you're going to employ the local people from UK to be part of your team. So one last question, so which is very practical, and I wanted to please break it down. Is that I'm a student, or I'm a young graduate who just finished MSc or BSc or PhD or whatsoever, or I'm even a dependent. I came here with my partner, or I joined my partner, or I'm just starting a graduate visa and my visa is going to expire next year, or it's expiring in 3 months. Please, what can I do? And I'm really interested in this innovator visa. I've got an idea. What can I start doing? My visa is going to expire this year. I'm going to graduate this year, and I have very short time. So what practical thing can I start doing? How do I start building maybe my portfolio, or what will you say I should start doing in very simple terms, please? Yeah, thank you.
I think to take your mind off the visa for a minute and start working on the idea. I think that's the most important thing, because if the idea is also not right, if you've not done your research, if you can't articulate it effectively, you wouldn't get the visa either way. So the visa, I think, is not even the most important thing. What you should be doing right now is building the idea. If that means prototyping, if that means some sketch, whatever form it might be, and showing up for opportunities, events like this, particularly Barclays. Check the Barclays Eagles Lab product builder program or venture builder program. I don't know the correct word for that. And the funding readiness program. Those two programs would help you think about your business differently. So I think if you've got that rock solid, you will have more than enough material to apply for the visa. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ifeanyi. Thanks so much for sharing this thought experience with us. It's really a great time listening to you, and I'm sure everyone here is encouraged.
Oh, so I can see some hands up. I don't know.
Oh, I thought I already attended to Peter. Yeah, because we are out of time. So I'm definitely going to give the CREED coordinator a chance. So I think Peter already asked this question. So
Okay.
Thank you so much on behalf of CREED and all the attendees,
No
including those who would watch this online in the future. We are sure that this is definitely going to add good knowledge onto them. Knowing someone with your background and has come this far is really encouraging, inspiring to everyone. And to also let everyone know that an idea is never built in a day. It's only start from your mind, and you never know how far it can go. I was watching a video that shows the UK in 2001, that is 23 years ago, and you won't imagine what the news was all about. It was a news, and the news was about a smartphone that could take pictures and send to other people. I tell you, this happened 23 years ago. So you can imagine how far that has come. So 23 years ago in the UK, the news was about there is now a smartphone that can take your pictures and send to your friends. We can then imagine how far this has gone. So I'm sure it started just in the heart of someone. So please, your idea is great. Don't let it die within you. Try to push it out. Try to attend the event like our guest has said. Share it with people, and don't be afraid of failing, just like he has said. So, and it's available. You can reach out to him anytime, any day. So this is great. Please follow us on our social media platforms. CREED is CREED.Aberdeen. So we are on YouTube and LinkedIn. So please follow us for a lot of informative programs, empowerment, trainings, and all the rest. So on behalf of CREED, thank you. So I leave it to the CREED team lead in here, who is going to finalize what he has to say. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.
With you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Ifeanyi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you for being naked. Thank you for demystifying what a lot of people may feel that, oh, there's difficulty, and thank you for making it simpler. Actually, on behalf of CREED, when I see you physically, I promise you a book.
Oh,
Yeah, it will be a business book. All. Thank you so much for giving
thank
the
you.
time. And thank you. We will upload it on YouTube and we also share it with you so that you can also keep it. But thank you on behalf of Creed. Thank you so much. We do pray that in some very few years to come, your startup will scale up, will win grants, will win funding, and will also become a unicorn startup in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
And good night, everyone. Good night, sir. Good night, all our. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye.